how you use them.
T-minus 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Hello. Welcome to the Biz Doc Podcast. Today, here's what we've got. We have a couple things that we're going to dive into, and all of it refers to how we spend a little bit of free time or what we do in our free time, or time that shouldn't be free time, but we just use it up anyway. So there's a couple things. The first thing we're going to go look at is we're going to go look at music and streaming. Music has never been bigger in one way, but in another way, it's never recovered since 1999. I'm going to take you through a few stats for that. Then we're going to dive into TikTok. Thank you very much for the suggestion. People are asking, what is this ban on TikTok and why are the politicians in favor of it? But then there's a bunch of people that work in Silicon Valley not in favor of it. Obviously, we know why. Wouldn't face, some of them would want to benefit, but some of them, why wouldn't everyone in Silicon Valley want TikTok to be banned? Wouldn't they? I'm going to drive down the road and explain how in a quick case study. But first, let's dive into music. First of all, I got my vault here. Took a break from my favorite flavor. And I got my second favorite flavor here. Cucumber mint. Love it. Go to Amazon, get yourself a case. No sugar, no caffeine, just the right amount of dark rum. I'm just kidding. That's just an inside joke between me and the crew. And basically, we have so much rum in this, if this was to take longer than 20 minutes, it would get really funky. So let's dive into music. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at the quick history of music. There's been some headlines lately and people have been asking, hey, what's up? Why is music, hasn't recovered since 1999, but also music's better than ever? What does that mean? Well, let's take a look. First of all, let's look at the way you and I buy and listen to music itself, just basics. Take a look at this. This goes from 1978 all the way to 2023. So this is a long time. This is much more than 25 years. It would just be, 1998, 99, be 25 years. No, this is going back another 22 years to there. So we're basically got like almost 50 years of music right here. Almost, So take a look. And in 1978, vinyl, cassettes, 8 tracks. If you want to know what 8-track tapes is, go watch really old movies, but never mind that. Then you see what happened with CDs starting in the 80s. Then CDs, you could listen to it, high quality, it didn't get stuck in your car the way cassettes did. And all of a sudden, the CDs dominated until they didn't. And when they didn't was when streaming happened, a thing called Napster. But you would think that, wait, I thought we fixed that. And then there was Pandora, and then there was Spotify, and then there was, all these other, services that were out there that you could buy music from. And it says, well, this is back in the day where you bought a full CD for 17 bucks and you had 12 songs on it that were give or take 45 minutes. That was the length of an album. Remember when albums were about 41 to 50 minutes? You had 6 songs on this side, 6 songs on the other, and about half the songs wouldn't be that good, and the other half of the songs, that's why you bought the album. But, it was very interesting. If you weren't just listening to jazz, which had some similarities in the tracks, you could just play it for end to end, and you're listening to your favorite rock band, pop band, or whatever, or country star, there was the songs you liked, songs you didn't. Streaming changed all that. I could say, I only want this, 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 and this. Pay yourself a subscription, put the hearts by what you wanted, but take a look at what happened. What this chart shows is that in 1998, we reached peak music, which was basically CDs making up well over 80%, and the remainder, 15, 20%, was made up by cassettes. There was no more vinyl. It was there, but it was hiding, and it was a $25 billion business, you and I buying music to listen to at home. Then that was the peak, and you can see the graph goes down, 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 all the way to 2008. So those 10 years from 98 to 2008, it goes from 25 billion down to 10 billion in recorded music. It was, no wonder the stars were cranky. No wonder they were having suits with the streamers. No wonder they wouldn't make a deal with Pandora. And finally, downloads and ringtones brought it back only for a short time, and then streaming was the bulk of it. And now if you take a look at it, we're back up to over 15 billion, 17 billion last year. streaming is 90% of that, and vinyl is up 300% in the last decade, but it represents very little. Now, I have a high-end vinyl rig at home, turntable, and I love the warmth, I love the way the music sounds, I love the way it comes through my system. So I'm buying new vinyl, and I also have a great library of well-preserved, vinyl from when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, when I was in college. But streaming is by and large the most. My kids have never bought, I think, any physical media, a CD, an album, or anything like that. Now, they like my stuff, and I've got my oldest daughter, 18. She'll listen to my old Fleetwood Mac Rumors classic album, and things like that. But for the most part, you see streaming is making a comeback, but recorded music is only up to 17 billion. That is still down 36% from 1999, which was 25 years ago. So it's basically never recovered. So where is it? Where are artists making money? Well, the answer is fewer artists are making big money, but here's where they're making it. Concerts. Let's look at this chart and look at the concert money. And it's not just Taylor Swift and her concert tour, which people are saying is $1 billion. Let's look at the chart. So here we go. Concerts last year, $6.6 billion. Now, this chart shows, if you're listening on Spotify to the podcast, and thank you for doing that, starting in 2012, you can see the chart hangs out at 2, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2012, 13, 14, 15. Finally, 16 goes up about 3 billion, then 3.1, 2017, 3.4, 2018, 3.5, 2019, and then, oh my gosh, lockdown, can't go to concerts, can't even go outside, boom. Concerts go down to less than $1 billion, like $700 million. 2021, a little bit over $1 billion, but then we were allowed to go outside again, and look what happens 2022. Whammo. All of a sudden it goes all the way up to $5.5 billion. Now think about that. $3.5 billion in 2019, 2 years of COVID, 20 and 21, and then all of a sudden it's $5.5 billion in 22, and then $6.6 billion in 23. The answer is the way we're doing music is we're going to high-end concerts, and we're spending $6.6 billion on that, and we're spending $17 billion on recorded music. Music industry is almost back to that $25, $26 billion total, but it's concentrated. These tours, is like Taylor Swift's tour, is rumored to be, $800 million of the $6.6 billion is just Taylor Swift, going from stadium to stadium, but it's concentrated. So anyway, this chart here represents the top 100 tours. So all the numbers I gave you, if you just took the top 100 tours and looked at it, 2.2 billion 2012, 3.5 billion 2019, 2 years of COVID, splat, and now back to here with people like Taylor Swift and Drake leading the league with The Weeknd, with big giant tours and things like that. So I thought that was very interesting, is where we're listening to music. Recorded music has never really recovered. It's an all streaming world now, and a lot of criticism on streaming that says you don't get the same high fidelity you get out of vinyl. I'll be the first one to tell you that. I happen to like the vinyl sound a lot better than I like the streaming sound. Streaming doesn't seem to have depth to me. It's hard to explain. But if you've listened to it side by side, you'll understand. As long as you've got really good speakers at home to listen to. So now, the next thing we're going to do is go look at TikTok. That's what else we do in our free time. And sometimes we're playing music in the background while we're just endlessly going through TikTok. And now there's a bill in Congress, and I'm going to tell you what that's all about and why part of Silicon Valley doesn't like that bill, even though you'd say, wait, if you're going to ban TikTok, wouldn't Facebook and Snapchat be happy? Let's go find out. I'm going to grab my vault, go down to Studio B, and dive in. Okay, we got in the door. We had to open the door. Oh my gosh. Okay. There we go. Got my cucumber mint vault there. Go get yourself some over at Amazon. Great flavors available. Watermelon too. I like the watermelon. Pretty sweet. You gotta love it. No sugar, no caffeine, just a right amount of stuff to unlock your brain. Our proprietary little formula. Okay. I said we talk about TikTok and what's going on. So let's see if we can unlock the secret behind what's up with these headlines with TikTok, and why are some people upset and why some people aren't upset, and the people you think would be upset are not upset, the people that you think would not be upset are upset. So let's go dive in. First of all, we all know about TikTok. TikTok's out there, social media, short videos, all those things, we get that. But what is going on? So let's dive in a little bit behind the story. So first of all, we're going to dive into these headlines and say, so what's up with that? Next thing we're going to do is a quick history and charts. Many of you don't know just how big they've become in the last 3 years, especially the years coming out of COVID, where we were all locked up using TikTok and watching tons and tons of videos. And it wasn't just those crazy, fails and cat videos that people were watching on YouTube in the early days. There's a lot more going on, including a hell of a lot of marketing, making a hell of a lot of money. And then what does it mean for us and what's going to be next? So first of all, let's dive into the headlines. U.S. House passes bill that could ban TikTok nationwide. And this is the BBC talking about the USA. Then ABC News, this is CBS News. When would a TikTok ban go into effect? House bans it, it goes to our Senate, then the president has to sign it, then it's a law. When would all this happen? Finally, AP covering House passes a bill that could lead to TikTok ban if Chinese owner refuses to sell. Aha, there's a ban, but there appears to be a catch. And there's a bunch of headlines. What is going on? What is going on? First of all, let's back up and go into TikTok, see how big they are, and how big they are and what they do and where the data goes is leading to why people are so jacked up and willing to take action in the form of a bill. First of all, let's look at 2023. We're doing this here in early April, so first quarter of 24, but I found a bunch of stats through the end of 23. First of all, they generated $16 billion in revenue in 23, up 66% year over year. This is global. Then 1.5 billion MAUs, monthly active users in 23. That's a ton of a lot. There's 8 billion people in America in the world. By the way, if the border crisis doesn't get solved, all 8 billion of them will be here. But anyway, you got 8 billion in the world, 1.5 are actually using it. That's a lot. That's almost 2 out of 8, which would be 1 out of every 4. We're approaching 1 out of every 4 people using TikTok on Earth. And forecast is for 1.8 billion by the end of this year, 24. We're knocking on the 1.4 if that comes true at the end of this year. And then in China, think about this, 750 million daily users. There's only 325 people give or take, mostly give, here in the United States. So that's twice the US population using it every single day just in China. And it's been downloaded over 4 billion times. Now that would account for half the population of the Earth, but some of those are double downloads. That people have downloaded it, went dormant for a while, downloaded it again. But still, that's pretty amazing statistic. So TikTok is massive, owned by a company called ByteDance, with all that data that's on TikTok and maybe data on your phone, leaving your phone through the app, heading back to servers, which are sniffed by China, thanks to ByteDance, and your data's over there. That is what people are concerned about. So this big monolith is sending data back to China. And that's what people are upset about. So what do they want to do about it? First of all, how many of them are here in the US market? Because that's what the bill in the US is trying to protect. So you've got a 10 billion market in the USA, and last year 102 million people. So that's 1 in 3 in the United States are actually users of TikTok, and be about 107.8, 113. You see this little forecast here going from 102 to 107 next year, 113 and 25, 117 and 26, 121 and 27. So you see we basically have hit 100 million. We've gone through the hyper early growth phase, and now it's going up. That's what this chart shows. But basically 1 in 3, little under 1 in 3 people in the United States are users. $10 billion. How did we get there? Very strong growth. As you can see, in 2021, it was only about $2.5 billion. 2022, it jumps up $5 billion. Remember, that was the last of the COVID years, going to the first year, hey, we can go outside again. And then 2023, it's almost $10 billion. 2024, it will be in excess of $12 billion. That's the US market. So there's an awful lot of ad revenue being spent there. So there's probably a lot of people that don't care that the data goes to China. They're pumping ad dollars into TikTok to sell jeans, streaming music, whatever, and make money for their business using TikTok as a very unique ad channel into the eyes and hearts of their targeted consumers. That is the key. So you get a lot of people there, yeah, I don't care where that data's going. I don't care about those kids and the data, whatever. Going to China, I don't care. I'm here to sell Pepsi. I'm here to sell Coke. Guess what? That's what's going on. That's part of it. So now we go the TikTok ban. Now we get into where we can talk about this. So what are we hearing? Mandate. The bill will give TikTok 5 months to separate from ByteDance. In other words, in the United States, ByteDance would have to sell TikTok to someone else in the United States and assume that the data is not going to China anyway. Let me think. Well, the penalty is if it doesn't sell to ByteDance, away from ByteDance in 5 months of the bill being passed. Remember, the House passed it, now it goes to Senate, then it goes to the President has to agree to sign it. He may not, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So the app stores in the US would then be prohibited from including TikTok on the list. So you would go to the Apple App Store, wouldn't be there. They can't include it anymore. Neither could Android. So the bill says if it's passed, TikTok has 5 months to separate ByteDance or disappear from the app stores, which means it disappears from your phone. That's what has to happen. Uh-oh. Don't want that. But that's what we're hearing. But there's more to it. Like any story, there's a lot more below the surface. People making money and things happening. Here's what you don't hear. You're not hearing Representative Massey of Kentucky properly calling the bill a Trojan horse that would give the president power to ban websites. Aha! So apparently, and I went and read it, the TikTok ban bill contains language where any website or mobile app that was deemed to be, inflammatory or otherwise objectionable to the government could influence what's on it. Does that sound like censorship to you? Sounds like censorship to a lot of people, such as Rand Paul, also from Kentucky, saying this would be a violation of the First Amendment, free speech, and the Fifth Amendment, saying you don't want this bill. This isn't just about TikTok. They're waving TikTok. Your data's going to China. Your data's going to China. Here, accept us passing this bill. Remember we read about the spending bills like some weeks ago, and it wasn't just a bill for Ukraine, and it wasn't a bill for the border. There was all kinds of other stuff that was packed in it. No bill is ever as clear as a piece of fruit. It's an apple on the outside, it's an apple on the inside, it's a banana on the outside, banana on the inside. Understand? That would be purity. That would be a single-purpose law. Most bills is like chili. You know what, this tastes kind of funny, but what is all in here? Well, there's some beef, there's some spice, but once it's mixed in, you can't separate it. That's what most bills look like in America today, in the best country in the world and the best government in the world, even though it's rife with corruption and what they pack into these bills. And Massey and Rand Paul are saying, look, there's other stuff in here. This isn't just about banning TikTok because we don't want the data to go to China. This bill contains a whole bunch of things that would allow government, specifically the president, to invoke executive powers that would impact, other websites or other services like Truth Social, like X, like something they don't like. Whoever's in the White House, whether you're liberal, conservative, libertarian, or neutral, which would never be neutral, but the point is you could take whatever stance you want and go the other way and use the law to kind of affect social media and what's happening. Well, then you get to Tulsi Gabbard. She's former representative, and she said the bill has nothing to do with TikTok, but it is about the following. Quote from Tulsi Gabbard, quote, "It's about politicians having the power to decide what thoughts, ideas, and informations Americans are allowed to hear and see." Let me read that again. She's right. That's what the bill says in its current form. Remember, it could get edited in the Senate. It could get marked up, as they say. It could get sent back to the House again. A lot of things can happen. But in its current form, I've read it. She's right. Quote, It's about politicians having the power to decide what thoughts, ideas, and information Americans are allowed to hear and see. That is why it's there. So why would Facebook be not too crazy about this bill? Because they could come back and impact Facebook. Why wouldn't Snapchat want to make a comeback with the ban of TikTok? A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Trump, then President Trump, was talking about, actually about 3 years ago, was talking about banning TikTok, and what happened? Snapchat stock jumped up. Why? People see Snapchat similar to TikTok, and so, wow, TikTok out, Snapchat come back. And the stock jumped a little bit. Guess what? That's why. But now you've got Silicon Valley not sure they like this bill, because whoever goes into president this year might be replaced with somebody with a different point of view next year. So when they think about their futures, they're like not sure about it, but they're not screaming too loud because they're trying to play nice with the Biden administration. So this is really a little bit of a Rubik's Cube here. Rubik's Cube was an old game where you had all the colors on one side. So never mind if you don't know what a Rubik's Cube is. This is really a puzzle, and everybody's got to manage it. But nonetheless, the TikTok ban bill is not just about TikTok being banned. And if you follow on, whether you're watching cable news, you're watching news off the internet, or you're getting your news on X or wherever you're getting it, it is much more than that. And by the way, much more than that could be something that doesn't help Truth Social and X, by the way, who both have owners, and we know who they are, who are going head to head with the current administration. So it's no surprise that this kind of a bill is heading our way. So what's TikTok doing? They're putting up a fight. I don't know if you can see this, but check this out. TikTokeconomicimpact.com is a website owned by TikTok. TikTokeconomicimpact.com. TikTok Economic Impact Report 2024, talking about the impact on how they're helping advertisers advertise small businesses and how they're doing this. And they're doing all that, but they're lobbying on their defense. You don't want us to go away. All the small businesses and all the commerce and everything that's going on here would have nowhere to advertise. Your economy would shrink a little bit. So TikTok is trying to fight the ban by ignoring issues about the data, not answering that question in the least, and putting out an economic impact report, which is saying, nothing to see here, we're helping you. See, we're good. So there's the other side that's going on right now, as TikTok is desperately trying to influence the American voter to contact congressmen and tell them the bill is a bad thing. So they don't like the bill because it specifically has one part aimed at them. X doesn't necessarily like the bill because they see that they could also be victimized by it. And therefore, Truth Social hates the bill because they know a Democratic administration would immediately wreak economic havoc on Truth Social. And Facebook is there, I'm not too sure about this, but trying to play nice with the Biden administration. See, this bill is not what it's cracked up to be, and you can see why TikTok would put up a fight, but there's a lot going on below the surface, isn't there? Now then, so what's next? It's election year. Expect to see ban headlines everywhere from the U.S. mainstream media. Second, beneath the surface, there's a Trojan horse. Know what that is. So when you see other quotes out there, throw your friends and tell them, hey, there's more to this than meets the eye. You got to look into this. It's not just about TikTok. And lastly, the Senate vote is going to be more difficult. But if the Senate votes and sends it to Biden's desk, he basically has to sign a bill where he would be personally having the ability to impact Truth Social, which is Donald Trump's social media network. So therefore, you could argue that Biden is using the bill to interfere with elections, specifically his re-election. So guess what? I don't think the president would really want to do that. Because that would be straight up, election interference. And they've been arguing forever that there were free and fair elections. There's nothing to see here everywhere. You make your own decisions on all that. But that's where these headlines are going. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the story of the TikTok ban bill and a little bit of history on just how big TikTok has grown to. And I hope that was helpful to you to really answer the story behind the story and what's below the surface. I'm going to take my vault, head back to the main studio, and sign off. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that dive into TikTok and understanding the bill and what's behind it and why some people like it and some people don't. And some people are worried about what it means for the future. If you like that case study, please check out one of these 2 case studies from the Biz Doc archive. I love case studies and I hope you do too. That helps you with something for your business as you grow and go forward. Until next time, I'm Tom Ellsworth, the Biz Doc, and I hope I left you better than I found you.